We're now joined by two-time Super Bowl champion, former Morehead State quarterback, and longtime analyst when it comes to network TV. I reached out to Phil Simms when I saw the story that Paul shared with us about Morehead State naming him to the stadium. He called me. He's on. Phil, thank you very much for your time. What does this mean to you?
Well, first off, good to be on with you guys. Sounds like you have a lot of fun. You got every avenue in the world out there trying to get a big crowd. So I admire that, and good for you. Listen, it's of course an unbelievable honor, and I really, when I say this, I mean this about Morehead State University. They gave me a full scholarship to come down there and play football. We did not do very well, but I look back on everything, being there, what it did for my life and my family's life, that I played 4 years. And I took every snap, I think, in those 4 years. That was great experience. Didn't translate the wins too often for us, but all those snaps and everything. And then I was truly kind of ready to go in the NFL just because I got to throw and be part of an offense for 4 straight years.
Again, you got drafted in the first round, Phil, but
yeah.
But you had to fight your way through so many games. How much did that prepare you in maybe a different way than, say, someone like, Tua, or someone who just won nonstop, has to step in and maybe deal with the fact that their team isn't good right away?
It's hard to answer that. I always just say the same thing. Look, I just played, the NFL. I guess I caught their attention really in my sophomore year. They were down looking at one of our players, and a couple scouts says, "Hey, what grade's the quarterback in?" And somebody says he's a sophomore, and he goes, "Oh, well, we'll be back here next year and the following year." I always tell these stories a little bit. I'll make it quick. I don't know how many pro days I had at Morehead State University. A lot. And every coach that came in there to throw it. What do you want to see, coach? We want to see you let it go. Okay, that was my forte. Okay, you want to see it? I'm going to do it. And then Bill Walsh comes in, throwing, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Is this what you want to see?" He goes, "No. I want to see something that's pretty. You're just throwing it too hard and whatever." And, every time I kept throwing it a little softer, he goes, "Softer." And then finally I throw one, hell, I lob it. He goes, "Oh, that was beautiful." And, so what a difference he was, and I don't know how I got to the subject, from what everybody else wanted to see. It was the exact opposite of Bill Walsh. And, he told me he was going to draft me. I believed him. But I was already gone by the time they drafted, and he had to settle for Joe Montana. Poor Bill Walsh.
I read that story. But, I mean, my God, you ended up winning a couple of Super Bowls. You played for, 15 years with the Giants, all in New York, and had yourself a heck of a career. When Walsh talks football and he talks quarterbacks, could there be a better, compliment to somebody coming out of college than him?
No, it was great, because I knew his career in the pros, where he coached in college, what he did. I'll never forget. He said to me, "Look, you come, you're going to play as a rookie. You're going to throw for more yards than anybody in the league. You're going to complete more passes and touchdowns and none." And I'm sitting there looking at him. He goes, "Well, you believe me, right?" And I go, "Sure, coach." I mean, I don't know, but that was kind of his thing to do. And it was great. He taught me in that little session that day something really good or great, and I really never put it into play for myself until many years later when I quit trying to throw the damn thing. It didn't have to throw them all so hard. And, I had guys complain about it sometimes. And when I got in more rhythm and just relaxed and threw more or threw the football, it was much better, more accurate, and had more success when I played that way.
Is that almost like a young pitcher who comes in who can throw at 90-something miles an hour, and then all of a sudden he eventually learns how to pitch?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good analogy. What is that? Bull Durham, Nuke LaLoosh. I want to throw heat. But the good thing is you learn to throw with rhythm as you stay in the league, and you realize it's timing and all these other things. But, 4 or 5 times every single game, even in today's world, you got to step on the gas. And a lot of times that's what separates winning and losing for the quarterback having success or not. You got to – I'm still a big believer in that. Arm strength is not overrated. We just don't rate it when somebody throws one of those missiles 20 yards down the field into tight, that big completion. No, we just go, well, he only completed 63% and, whatever. But the arm strength comes in handy for every quarterback in the league 4 or 5 times a game in big situations.
What did Bill Parcells becoming the head coach of the Giants mean for you personally, not only as a player, but just as a leader on the team and the things that developed after he took over and changed the culture there?
What do you want?
What's that really good non-alcoholic beer I keep hearing about?
Do you have that really great non-alcoholic beer that I keep seeing?
Do you have a non-alcoholic beer that actually
tastes good?
It's athletic. You're holding it.
You mean athletic? You're looking at it.
I think you mean athletic.
It's athletic. Ask for it.
Well, listen, he came in 1983. Ray Perkins left to go to the University of Alabama. Bill Parcells at that time did not like me. And it just, no matter what I did, I was not going to be the starting quarterback for him at opening day in 1983. He had Scott Bruner. I always heard, well, you're just too strong and opinionated, Sims, and that's what's hurting you. Well, all the coaches on the staff seemed to like me except for one. And so it didn't work out. And if you remember, this is hard to remember. It's so long ago. The Giants tried to hire head coaches to take his job. They could not get anybody to take the job. And I ran into Howard Schnellenberger years later. And he goes, the Giants asked me to take that job. And I said, yes, I did know that. He goes, yeah, I made a big mistake. I should have took it.
That would have been right after, they won the national title in 83 at Miami. Would that have been about that time?
Yeah, it would have been the season of 1984. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to answer it. So Bill Parcells, that 3-12-1 season in 83, I was not part of it really because I got hurt. And but the following year, he was Bill Parcells. I'll never forget that off season. Now I know he has to go with me, and we're connected. And he told me once, Tim, if I survive this is still going on, all this looking for a new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
If I survive it, we're going to do it my way. And he was that guy from that 84 season all the way through 1990. I mean, tough. Oh my gosh, he was tough. And he wasn't afraid to light you up in front of the team and fans or whatever. And you know what was great about it? Athletes always go think this, Coach, just tell me the truth. Do you really want to know the truth? Well, Bill would tell you the truth, and he never sugarcoated it either. So, but listen, I talk about him all the time because we won 2 Super Bowls, really should have won more.
Mm-hmm.
All players, but damn, we had some good teams that didn't win it. And I think about him all the time just because he changed my life.
Phil, that time period, I want to get back to Morehead State and what they're doing and what you're doing with them. But that time in the NFC East must have been just the Cowboys were in and out at that time. They were pretty good. Then they started to slip. Washington with Joe Gibbs. Philadelphia was good. I mean, if you won the NFC East, it almost as if, other than the 49ers, you were probably going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, listen, it was what's the word? It was killer's row there. Where are we playing this week? Oh, in Washington. Oh, going down to Dallas still was tough, even though they kind of went into a slide for a few years. And the Eagles, I mean, man, I had a personal relationship with Reggie White. So it was unbelievable. It was rough and tough, and you are so right. Between a few teams and the San Francisco 49ers, it was domination there for quite a few years with a small group of teams.
I can think of at least, like, if I had an hour, I could rattle off one thing a minute that I would rather do rather than get tackled by Reggie White one time.
Yeah, listen, him and I had an unbelievable relationship. He liked me a lot. He always said, man, I wish you could play. I want to be on the team with you. And he was really great that way. Now, when the game started, he had no second thoughts. He run me over like nothing. And one time, he hit me so hard the first two plays of the game, and he's standing over me. And I say to my right tackle at the time, I won't call him, I said, Carl, is this going to go on all night? And Reggie White goes, that's right. He had a little Muhammad Ali in him. This is going to go on all night. And I said something really vulgar to him. He's a minister. And I let him have it as I'm sitting on the ground. And, man, he made me pay for that thought coming out of my mouth. Oh, my gosh. But he would sack me along with Jerome Brown and hit me. Oh, my gosh. And they would literally pick me up by my armpits and slap me on the rear end and go, come on, hang in there now. And I just go, are they making fun of me, or do they really like me? I didn't know, but really it was the opposite. They liked the fact that, I didn't complain when they knocked the crap out of me, and they would help me up. So pretty great. Isn't that pitiful? Those are great memories to me. To have a guy, Reggie White, stature, ability, and everything, knowing that he respected me, this is really true too. I said I'll never forget the year, 1988, we're playing down there. I'm in their locker room. We got, the 10-minute warning or whatever. We're going to go out there, and I'm just rocking back and forth and going, hang in there. Come on, hang in there. It wasn't about, I'm going to read the coverage. And it's about just being tough enough to hang in there, because you were going to take a damn beating no matter what happened. And I'd go get on the bus. We'd beat them. And I'd get the stat sheet, come through there. Let me see it. I'd be 11 of 23 for 95 yards and 2 interceptions. No, wait. This is true. I'm not exaggerating this at all. And I would go, damn, I played a little better than I thought. I hung in. Yeah, it was good. But we were not a great matchup for the Eagles and what they did. But we were a great matchup against Washington, who dominated the Eagles dominated us. It was really that's the way it was for many years.
Did Lawrence Taylor ever hit you, or did they make sure he never did?
Hey, so many times in practice, he'd run by me. He'd be walking back. He goes, oh, God, I just want to hit you once. I go, yeah, but you can't. You can't, big boy. So Lawrence, I've been talking about him a lot lately, but we had a great relationship. And, sometimes after I throw an interception, a bad one, like, oh, my God, that was so bad. I'd just be walking up the field, and Lawrence would grab me and goes, listen, don't worry. We're going to get the ball back for you in better field position anyway.
Yeah. Well, that
made it a little better.
That defense was unbelievable.
Sometimes that actually happened. He would get it back.
When I was reading about the story and the naming of your Phil Simms Stadium, the part that jumped out to me, among knowing it would be an unbelievable honor for you, in 2015, 36 years after leaving Morehead State to play pro football, you came back to campus for your Bachelor of University Studies degree. What was that like?
Well, that was cool. I knew I had to just get the degree, and so I could at least say I graduated from college. And it's not a good thing to say, but I was in college, and really from the day I went into college to the day I left, I really loved playing. I wanted to win. I loved the workouts. I loved all that stuff. And I just wanted to be a pro football player. And that was my thought that never left my mind. And so it did work out. And, going down there this year, my closest friends in life are all some of the teammates I had at Morehead State. So it's going to be great to go down there. We're going to go down early. In about 2 weeks, we're going down to spend 3 or 4 days. I like to see the coach, some of the players, and do that every single year. And, I made so many great friends down there, and to this day, we're all still friends.
Morehead State, the NFL, Super Bowls with the Giants, playing for a guy like Parcells. and now having the stadium at Morehead State named after him. Phil, I mean, I'm sorry, Paul.
Phil, I have to thank you for something that you don't even know that you had a part in. And it may seem like a little thing, but it did change my life. You and Jim Nantz at the Super Bowl, not the last time it was in New Orleans last year, but the last time it was, were shooting your some of your opens and closes and things at Drago's there in New Orleans. We were there eating dinner. And we had ordered, because I'd heard about the charbroiled oysters, we had ordered, some to try them, and they were fantastic. And because you guys had so much stuff to shoot that they had to keep getting this flame in the background. So if, something happened with the sound or, somebody messed up a name or whatever, you guys had to keep doing it. So they keep making these oysters, and there weren't really that many people in the restaurant. So they said, "Hey, do you guys want some more oysters?" It's pretty much on Jim and Phil over here. And so they sent over all of those oysters, dozens of oysters. And that is my favorite morsel of food I've ever had in my life. Every time I go back, I go there at least twice. We were just there this year, and that is because of you and Jim Nantz. And I have to thank you immensely for bringing me so much joy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad I had some effect. So, we were filming the show called The Iron Man, and it's make it fast. They made it called The Iron Man because we picked out, tough guys around the league and the seasons and all that. But really, it was about the trophy was a big iron, and it's a great trophy. And it's because I said to somebody once, "Hey, how do you get rid of your clothes look so good?" He goes, "Well, I send them out to get them pressed, you dummy." And they go, "Well, how do you get yours?" I go, "Well, hell, I iron my own clothes." And they thought that was when you're one of 8 children, you learn to do everything for yourself. And that was me. And we were taught I iron my own clothes. Even to this day, I still iron clothes. So, some things never leave you that you learned as a child, and that's one of them for me.
What are you work with Nance forever. He's an icon for what he does, and he's still a part of broadcasting, starting to back away a little bit. What was it like? How much of a consummate professional was he?
Oh, he's just probably what you envision and think. He was an unbelievable reader. We would get stuff, whatever teams you play, they give you a packet, and there's 130 pages there. And I'm going, I'm just going, man, I don't need all this crap. I'm just going to do the game. I know everything about it. I know what system they like to do. I know their favorite plays. But Jim would read every one of those pages, and he would write. He'd pick out the ones he liked and used and stuff like that. And he worked really hard. I mean, I admired him for that. He was a hard worker, wanted to be really prepared. And they would say things in meetings. I'd just go, "Okay, listen, that's not true. Here's the truth of what's really going on." And he was great and going, "Great. We are going to hit that so hard, and we're going to shut up journalists and everybody." We were up in Green Bay on a Thursday night game, and everybody basically was telling me, "You have to really get on Aaron Rodgers." And I go, "Why?" "Well, he's not playing well." I said, "He's playing fine. The rest of the team stinks, and the receivers drop everything." And so the game goes, and it's rough. Nobody can get it open. I'm showing it, everything, and he just keeps driving it home more because what had been written about Aaron Rodgers was not true. They, what they were going on? Well, there's the completion percentage and all that stuff. Hey, if you hit them in the chest, you can't catch it for them. And if they can't get open, there's so many things. But as I watched all the film and did all that, I said, man, Aaron Rodgers is playing well. He just needs a little help. And that night, it was exactly like, drop passes, guys couldn't get open, couldn't protect. And we did that. It's one of my good memories where he was a great partner because he was going to make sure that got out to through the TV out there, that it's not just looking at stats to determine who's good and who's not.
So you played the game, and then you broadcast the game, and analyst studio, all of that. Was that an easy transition for you?
Well, I don't know if it was easy. I think doing games when I first got out, the first time I did a game, I was like, wow, this is fast. And I was completely lost. But I caught on kind of quick. And, being on a panel at CBS, doing the CBS, pregame show, that's easy because we don't get to talk a whole lot. But I watch all the games every week. And, I said, there's a few things I got to get out. And they were really cool and usually let me get them out. And I'd be, I don't want to say taking shots, but I'd just try to correct what was real. And I always say that people would say to me, well, why do you work so much and you watch all the games and do all this? And I said, because I owe it to the players and coaches to tell the truth, not to give some bull crap. Oh, well, his quarterback rating, the QBR. When I hear QBR, I turn the station over. Shut up. And I'm so bad.
No,
but I want to know, and that's the only way. I had a neighbor here in town say to me once, I said, well, come on, Bob, you should know. He goes, how would I know, Phil? He goes, all I know is what I read in the papers and what I hear on the radio. And I said, oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And it's so even to this day, I get mad all the time watching shows, people talking. I go, God, he's talking. It's just not true. And, so I just feel like it's my obligation. And I respect the game and I respect the coaches and players. And I just want to tell the truth.
Last question, Phil, and congratulations. In October, when they probably peel off this big, large tarp or whatever it is, and your name is on the stadium, what do you know how you're going to react to that?
Well, I don't think I'll be emotional, but I just want to make sure to Morehead State, to all the people there, they've been unbelievable supporters of mine. Even when we were down there losing week after week, I had professors and people on campus going, hey, man, hang in there. Just keep doing what you do. And I've been in touch with so many people, as I told you earlier, my friends, but all the faculty, the athletic directors, whatever, everything, the coaches. Hopefully I can somehow sum it up to just tell them how important my 5 years. I was a 5-year guy because I got redshirted my rookie freshman year, but how much the school did for me. And I don't think it's an overstatement at all. If I didn't go there and get all that experience and throw the football and put up some numbers at times where in that day and age of college, people weren't throwing for 2,000 yards. I did that in 10 games my junior year, and it was like record setting. People are like, wow, now if you throw for 4,000, nobody blinks an eye. It's amazing. It's a lot of good memories, but, just like being a pro, I think almost every day about some game. I go, oh my God, how did we lose that game? We were so much better, and it cost us going to the playoffs or whatever. But I think the same about Morehead State. I think about it constantly, and I'll talk about it with all my friends when I see them here in a few weeks. Why couldn't we win more games? And it bothers me a lot. And but they stuck with me and all that, and it worked out for me in the end. And I made a lot of great friends, and it's going to be special going down there for homecoming, and hopefully seeing a lot of people that I know. I think I will. And we'll have a great time and enjoy the moment.
Well, you've given a lot to them, too, and it's great that they're giving back to you. Phil, great to have you on. Thank you very much for responding to my text earlier today, and we appreciate it. Congratulations.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on for so long. You got to talk about some good memories and everything. Really good, great interview. I appreciate the questions, and you guys have a good time and good luck. And don't be afraid to call, because if you do, I'll probably pick it up and we'll get a little interview in when you need it.
That sounds great. We'll do that. You opened the door. Phil Simms, 2-time Super Bowl champion, named now on Morehead State Stadium, coming up October the 18th, their homecoming week.